accidentally came across a sword, but at the sight of its rust-covered blade, I showed utter disdain, using it only to roast fish every day. Little did I know, this was no ordinary sword. It was a divine weapon forged by an immortal over a millennium. 18 years later, a girl stumbled into the cave and blew a hole in my father's mausoleum. Her sole purpose was to find the divine sword. Filled with rage at the sight, I chased after her, determined to protect my father's resting place. I hurled the sword at her. It grazed her arm, and the moment her blood touched the blade, the rusty sword suddenly activated and flew straight into my hand. Instantly, a powerful force sent both the girl and me flying backward. Knowing we stood no chance against the enemy, the girl quickly pulled out a talisman. When we channeled our spiritual energy together, we reduced the enemy to ashes in the blink of an eye. But before we could celebrate, the enemy reappeared. In that critical moment, the divine sword unsheathed itself to protect its master, blocking a fatal strike for me. To our surprise, the enemy abruptly stopped attacking and fled, and we soon learned the truth. This rusty iron sword was actually an ancient divine weapon. Right then, a wooden door creaked open. When we stepped inside, we found an ice coffin placed in the center. As the girl reached out to touch the coffin, a sudden wave of cold surged into her palm, making her yank her hand back in fright. Meanwhile, the rusty sword in my hand regained its original, brilliant, gleaming form. But the second the girl touched the sword, we were tightly bound together by its sword energy. No amount of struggling could free us. We were forced to point toward the sky, as if controlled by the sword, and a mighty sword aura burst through the mountain peak, piercing the heavens. At that moment, demons across the world sensed this power, and sent their underlings to seize the sword. Having exhausted all our internal energy, the girl and I fainted, but luckily, a pig demon found us in time and carried us back to a room. The next morning, the girl woke up first. She was now certain that the sword in my possession was the one she'd been searching for. When I woke up, however, both the girl and the sword were gone, so I hurried out to look for them. The girl had wrapped the sword in cloth, thinking this would shield her from its influence, but before she'd gone far, she felt her spiritual power fading rapidly. Before she could react, two men in black descended from the sky. Their mission was to steal the divine sword. I shot an arrow at them before they could finish speaking. Having lived here since childhood, I knew every plant and tree like the back of my hand, and I thought I could use the terrain to defeat them, but I underestimated their strength. They sent me flying with a single blow. The two men in black then formed hand seals and unleashed the 10,000 swords as one technique, sending countless flying swords hurtling toward me. In my moment of crisis, the girl returned the divine sword to me. As the flying swords neared, I dodged sideways, but this exposed the little pig demon behind me. Seeing this, the big pig demon rushed forward to block the swords, only to be impaled by them the next second. Witnessing the big pig demon's death right before my eyes, I was consumed by anger. I drove the divine sword into the ground, and sword energy filled the entire sky in an instant. I then chanted the incantation my father had taught me. As the last word left my lips, a beam of light shot upward, forming a barrier. Seeing this powerful defense, the two men in black decided to retreat and plan their next move, but it was too late. They were instantly destroyed by the sword energy. However, after the divine sword's existence was revealed, two more men in black came to steal it the next day. Though I had the sword to aid me, my cultivation was too weak to hold them off for long. Fortunately, the girl behind me stepped in to help just in time, blocking their flying sword attack. But in my moment of carelessness, the men in black suddenly withdrew their assault. I didn't have time to retrieve the sword, and both I and the sword were pulled toward them. One of the men in black turned, knocked the sword from my hand several meters away, then leaped to grab it. Just as he cheered triumphantly, his hand froze solid, and the sword clattered to the ground. It turned out no one but me could touch this divine sword. Seeing this, he immediately pulled out a sword box. The girl spotted this, drew her hidden weapon, and smashed the box in his hand. Furious, the man unleashed his 10,000 swords as one technique once more. At that critical juncture, a flying sword came speeding from the distance, shattering the two men's formation in an instant. Then, a sword immortal descended from the sky, standing atop a flying sword, and greeted the men in black. The girl and I exchanged confused glances. Did he know them? Could they be accomplices? The girl then pulled out a hidden weapon, and we fled at once. We ran all the way to a desolate wilderness. There, the girl sent me away, then took out an amulet to send a message to someone outside. Unexpectedly, the little pig demon, hiding in the bushes, witnessed everything. Instead of stepping forward to expose her, it just watched quietly from the side. The next morning, as the girl and I prepared to leave, the little pig demon flew out of the bushes and accused the girl. After you left yesterday, she used the amulet to send a message. But I refused to believe its words. Just then, an unknown object came flying from the distance. As it drew near, we saw it was a tiger demon. He demanded I hand over the divine sword, but I ignored him completely. I picked up the bow on the ground, loaded the divine sword like an arrow, and shot it, piercing the tiger demon's hand and pinning it to a tree trunk. Enraged, the tiger demon waved his hand, summoning two more tiger demons to attack us. The girl was soon overwhelmed and knocked to the ground. Just as she was about to be killed, I kicked aside the tiger demon in front of me, then threw off the one pinning her down. The two tiger demons then lunged at us again, but in that moment, countless flying swords rained down from the sky, slaying them instantly. Seeing this, the tiger demon stuck to the tree, wrenched its hand free from the trunk, ignoring the pain. Witnessing this, the sword immortal unleashed his ultimate technique and trapped the tiger demon. Just then, a woman in red suddenly appeared. She was the tiger demon's ally. She grabbed a long whip and lashed out at the sword immortal. When I saw this, I rushed forward to help at once, but my cultivation was far too low. The woman in red struck me hard, leaving me severely injured. Upon seeing this, the girl took the tiger demon hostage to threaten the woman in red. Fearing the tiger demon would be killed, the woman in red stopped her attack immediately. The sword immortal seized this opportunity. Wielding his sword to strike the woman in red, she was badly wounded and collapsed to the ground.